Welcome to Mindful Lying Down Yoga, part of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program that you have joined. It's helpful to remember that yoga is a practice of union that brings together the body and mind by engaging in a series of strengthening and stretching exercises that are done slowly and with moment-to-moment awareness. It is meditation in motion that brings awareness to movement, a time dedicated to bringing body and mind together in a gentle, caring way. Mindful yoga is meant for everyone, regardless of injuries or current state of health. It might be helpful to take a moment and just check in with your body right now, considering if there are any conditions or areas that you may want to pay special attention to during today's practice. This is an awareness practice meant to bring you more fully into yourself, awake and mindful without striving to achieve a certain pose, holding a pose, or competing with anyone else. This is a time for nourishment and, most importantly, curiosity and gentleness as we explore our bodies through movement. Follow along as best you can, maintaining moment-to-moment awareness of your body and its sensations without doing something that does not feel supportive or appropriate for your body at this time. You know your body best. If a posture does not feel right, then feel free to modify it or skip it completely and return to the resting position. You can also visualize the pose if that feels supportive to you. Honor your limits and boundaries, knowing that they may change day by day, but never by force. I invite you to work with your limits and boundaries without pushing beyond them and leaning towards being cautious and conservative, while honoring the parts of your body that are here and also honoring parts that may no longer be with you. Mindful yoga is a practice of accepting the body as it is right now. As with other mindfulness practices, best results happen when you are not striving to achieve, but rather remain in a space of experiencing the gentle stretching and the sensations that may accompany them, such as pulling, tugging, tingling, prickling, radiating, penetrating, heat, or coolness. Feel into these sensations as fully as you can, while noticing if the mind has strayed into telling stories or creating judgments. And if that happens, letting them go and returning to the pose. You can practice with your eyes open, softened, or closed, and I invite you to experiment as time goes on to see if your experience of the postures changes with these modifications. So now, taking a moment and coming to lying down on your yoga mat or a thick pad, with your legs stretched out in front of you, with your feet falling away from each other, resting on your back, with your arms by your sides, with the palms facing upwards, and the neck rested. You can take a moment to check the alignment of your body to ensure that the neck, upper body, and lower body are in a straight line. You are now resting in what is called the corpse pose. This pose is about letting go and resting in stillness and coming into the body fully and bringing a sense of awareness to the energy within your body and the breath. Being awake to the vitality and freshness of the body today as it is. as the breath gently flows in and out of your abdomen. Perhaps now feels like the right time to gently place your hands on the belly and follow a few cycles of breath, following the gentle rise and fall of the belly as the air flows in and out without trying to manipulate it or change it in any way. Simply resting with the breath, feeling the back as the breath moves, and getting a sense of being supported by the ground underneath you, being held by it. And knowing that with each breath, health and well-being are coming into the body, and with each out-breath, tension and fatigue are leaving. Breathing in well-being and breathing out tension. Bringing awareness now to the arms as they rest by your sides, and taking in a deep breath and allowing the arms to rise up towards your head, and now allowing them to fall back behind towards the ground behind you, keeping in mind your shoulder joints and your elbows, and only going as far as it feels comfortable. And if your hands make it all the way back to the ground behind you, that's welcome. And if not, allowing them just to be where they feel comfortable for a moment as you straighten your legs and point your toes and picture the body lengthening like an arrow almost. On the next in-breath, allowing the arms to rise back up towards the head, and as they pass your head, allowing the breath to leave your body and bringing the arms back to your sides. On the next in-breath, allowing the arms to float back up towards the head, back and over as it comes to rest on the floor behind you if that's possible. Lengthening the legs and pointing the toes. And now on the next out breath, allowing the arms to float back up, past the head, and as you breathe out, bringing the arms back to your sides. This is called the banana pose. Taking a moment now, tuning into the body and seeing what may be here, what sensations are perceptible. Tuning in to our legs now and bringing them up so that the knees are pointed towards the ceiling with the feet on the floor. In this position, you can bring your hand to your lower back. You may notice a gap between the lower back and the floor or the mat that you're lying on. And we're going to be doing a series of pelvic tilts. So you can leave your hand there at the small of your back, or you can return it to the sides as you bring your arms out in a T position. And we're going to take a deep breath in, allowing the pelvis to rise slightly. And then on the next out breath, letting the pelvis fall back towards the mat. Breathing in, the pelvis rocks towards the ceiling. Breathing out, it returns back towards the mat. Almost like you're rocking on your tailbone. This is called the pelvic tilt. Finding your own pace now with this movement. Going gently back and forth. Breathing in when it feels appropriate to you. And breathing out when it feels convenient. Just working here at your own pace. Doing 1 or 2 more movements and allowing the body to come to stillness, with the knees pointed towards the ceiling and your arms stretched out beside you in a T position. Now taking the arms and wrapping them around the outside of your knees or the shins, and resting here for a moment. On the next in-breath, gently pulling the knees towards your chest. You may feel this stretch in your back, especially your lower back, and maybe even the shoulders. Holding the stretch here for a moment and breathing into it. You may want to rock gently side to side, giving your back a gentle massage, breathing naturally. Or perhaps you would like to rock front to back, almost like you're rocking a little bit on your tailbone again. Doing whatever feels good for you in this moment. Tuning into what kind of movement your body wants right now. Perhaps even taking joy in what it's like to move the body with awareness. Remembering to breathe naturally. Allowing the body to return to stillness now. Unwrapping your arms from either your knees or shins and bringing them back to the sides of your body. And taking a moment to just sense what sensations are perceptible now in your body after doing a few poses, a few simple stretches. Perhaps there's less tension than before. Or maybe one side of the body feels different than the other. Simply tuning into those sensations. Bringing awareness back to the breath at the abdomen and straightening the right leg so it's flat against the floor while keeping the left leg bent, and wrapping your arms around your left knee or shin and gently pulling the left knee towards the chest. Breathing deeply into this stretch now, which you may feel in the back of the thigh and the hamstring, or perhaps the hips, and holding it here for another cycle of breath. On the next out breath, bringing the left leg back down to the mat and straightening it, and bringing the right leg up so that the right knee is pointed towards the ceiling and it's bent. Wrapping your arms around either your right knee or shin and pulling the right knee now towards the chest. Stretching the right side of the body. And perhaps sensing what it feels like on this side of the body. Noting if it feels different than the left side. When you're ready, bringing the right leg back down and straightening it out. As you lift the left leg up again, with the left knee pointed towards the ceiling, bringing your arms around the shin or knee, and pulling the left knee towards the chest again. And this time adding another movement if it feels available to you. Placing one hand on your neck, you can gently bring your forehead up to your left knee. You may feel the stretch in your neck or upper back. Breathing into the stretch for a moment, only going as high up as it feels comfortable. And now allowing your head, if you raised it up, to gently float back to the floor, bringing it back down with awareness as the left leg straightens out once again. And the right leg comes up for the same stretch on this side of the body. As you wrap your arms around the knee and gently pull it towards the chest. And if it feels available, folding your head up towards your right knee. And breathing into this stretch for a moment, supporting it with your hand if you need to. Taking one more deep breath in this stretch. And now allowing the right leg to return back to the mat, straightening it out. And returning now to the resting position. And noticing the effort it takes for the head to rest on the mat again. And the stretching of the legs as they return to the mat. And perhaps the release that you may feel as the arms return to the sides. And the feet fall gently away from each other. Noticing what sensations are here now. And sensing into the breath and being aware of the breath as you move through these poses. Breathing into the body and the movements deeply. Inviting in a sense of well-being as you breathe in and letting go of tension as you breathe out. As you rest in awareness for a few moments, you may also notice that your mind will wander, just like in any other mindfulness practice. And when that happens, simply bringing awareness back to the body, back to the pose, and resting here for a few moments in awareness. So now, moving into what's called the tabletop position, bringing the body from a lying position, rolling over and coming up on all fours, with the palms firmly rooted into the mat and the fingers stretched. Or you can balance on your knuckles if your wrists don't feel like they can take that kind of posture. But making sure that you keep the wrists underneath your shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips and are about hip width apart. Moving now into a series of movements called the cat-cow pose. Curving the back up towards the ceiling and tucking the chin towards the chest for a cat position. Imagining a cat that sees a dog. You may feel this stretch in the upper back or the shoulders as you push through your fingers into the mat. And then reversing, allowing the back to come back down gently and looking forward as you inhale and allow the belly to sag, bringing the chin up slightly into what's called the cow position. allowing the breath to leave the body, moving up into the cat, pushing up through the hands as the belly collapses towards the center of the body, and then breathing into the cow as the chin comes up and the belly sags. Experimenting with this movement once or twice at your own pace. Allowing the body to return to stillness, moving back into the tabletop position, moving to a balancing and strengthening posture. You can begin by sending the right leg straight back behind you so it's in a straight line with your body, allowing the toes to rest gently against the floor. And when you feel you've gained your balance, you can allow your left hand and arm to rise up in front of you with the palm facing inward in a straight line, gently stretching that arm. And perhaps if it feels available to you, allowing the right leg to gently come up from the floor. Maybe it's an inch, maybe a few inches, or perhaps that leg just wants to remain resting against the floor. Breathing into this stretch and noticing all the muscles that it takes to maintain this balance. All of the small micro movements, or perhaps even twitching or shaking. One more deep breath in this pose, bringing the left arm down, the right leg back, and now sending the left leg straight out behind you, allowing the toes to rest against the floor as the right arm floats up, the right palm facing inward. And if it feels available to you, allowing the left leg to gently rise up into this balancing and strengthening posture as you stretch the right arm forward just a little bit. Holding this here for one more moment. And now allowing the right arm to return back to the mat, the left leg to fold up beside the right leg for a moment, and just resting here in the tabletop position, taking in all the different sensations and seeing how the body feels right now. Bringing awareness to the breath at the belly, gently tilting your chin downward, looking at the ground, and noticing the effort in the muscles that are engaged, deepening the inhale and exhale and releasing. Placing your hands now on the floor in front of you, both of them, while both knees are on the mat. Sending now the buttocks back towards the heel, leaving the hand stretched out in front of you for what's called child's pose. And if possible, you can place your forehead on the mat as you sink down and gently rock the forehead back and forth for a gentle massage. You may feel this stretch in your hips, your back, your shoulders, always honoring your limits. Resting here in child's pose for a few moments, breathing in wellness and letting go of tension. On the next inhale, bringing the body back to the tabletop position. And if it feels available to you, or that's what you would like to do, doing a few more cat-cow poses at your own pace, ensuring that your body is aligned properly with your hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath the hips, and going back and forth through this posture. Doing a few more movements at your pace, and then coming back to the neutral tabletop pose. And then from here, we're going to go back to the resting corpse pose. And being curious of the intention to lie back, and being curious about how your body moves to get there. What muscles are involved as you support yourself to lie back down? And as you arrive completely lying back on the mat or the floor, just deepening the inhale and exhale of the breath, noticing the effects of those stretches on the body and any new sensations that may be present now. And now, keeping the knees bent, with them pointed towards the ceiling, with both feet resting on the mat, tucking your feet a little bit closer to your buttocks now, bringing the arms to your sides. Either they can lay by your sides, palms facing down, parallel to your body, or perhaps you would like to bring them out a little bit towards a T position, and sensing the contact that the forearms makes with the mat or the floor that you're lying on. And now, pressing the waist down, begin to lift your hips up towards the sky, supporting the weight of the body with the shoulders and the head and neck and the forearms, and allowing the hips to rise up towards the ceiling only as far as it feels comfortable for you. And holding this position now for a moment, breathing into it. Perhaps you can feel some of the muscles shaking as they try to hold this pose or maintain the balance. Simply breathing into it. Perhaps getting a sense of the space between your buttocks and the floor, whatever that may be. And now on the next out breath, allowing the body to return back to the floor, vertebra by vertebra. Taking your time, almost like a chain with the links returning back down. Once you return to the mat, pausing here for a moment and noticing what the body feels like from doing that pose as it rests now in awareness. On the next in-breath, once again allowing the hips to rise up only as far as it feels comfortable or that you can hold for a few cycles of breath. Sensing into the forearms, the back of the neck, the shoulders as they support you. Breathing into this pose for one more moment. And now allowing the body to return back to the mat or floor that you're on, vertebra by vertebra. And as the body returns to the floor, taking a moment and sensing all the different sensations that may be perceptible to you from making those movements. Now moving into what's called a twist position, keeping the knees bent, pointed towards the ceiling. Bringing the feet closer together until your knees touch gently. You can cradle your head if you'd like with one hand or both, interlacing your fingers behind your head if that feels comfortable. And now allowing your knees to gently fall to the right side. And allowing that right knee to touch the floor if it's possible, with the left knee stacked on top of it, if that feels comfortable to you. If your knee can't touch the floor, then just allowing it to rest in a position that feels comfortable and sensing what that position may be. Being aware of that space. Now feeling into the stretch, which you may feel in your lower back, your hips, and up the side of your body. Softening into this stretch, breathing into it. You may want to gently roll your head now to the left, ever so gently, looking to the left side, and feeling a stretch now even into your neck. Deepening the stretch, almost like you're broadening it, but never by force. Simply experiencing. Now slowly rolling the head back to center, bringing the knees back up so they're pointing towards the ceiling, and doing this stretch on the other side. Allowing your knees to gently fall to the left towards the floor, only as far as it feels comfortable and available to you. Feeling the stretch from the legs into the hips, the back, the side of the body. Now, if it feels comfortable, allowing the head to roll to the right. And softening into this stretch just for a moment, breathing with it. And perhaps seeing if it feels different on this side and what those differences may be. Now allowing the head to roll back to center and allowing the knees to come back up towards the ceiling. Just breathing here for a moment and taking in the sensations from those stretches. Now keeping the left foot planted on the mat, straightening the right leg down so it's straight. Picturing that you're lengthening the entire right leg from the hip. On the next in-breath, allowing the right leg to float up towards the sky, only as high as it feels comfortable for you. Perhaps you'd like to point your toes or flex them with the sole of the foot pointed towards the ceiling. Taking a moment now, you can wrap your arms around the back of your thigh or knee if that feels comfortable. Giving the knee a slight bend and gently pulling the right leg towards your chest. You may feel this stretch in the back of your leg and the hamstring. Breathing into this stretch. If you'd like, you can rotate your right foot clockwise. And now reversing direction, rotating it counterclockwise, stretching out the ankle muscles. For the next stretch, you can leave your head resting on the floor, or perhaps you would like to raise it just a little bit towards the right leg, feeling the stretch in your neck and your upper back. Just sensing and breathing into the stretch for a moment, remembering to breathe, to inhale and exhale, and holding this posture, being aware of your breathing, and if it's constricted or tightening anywhere, and then just deepening into those spaces. Inhaling through the nose and then exhaling. Now allowing the head to roll back towards the mat if you had lifted it, and allowing the right leg to float back down to the mat, taking your time. And now lengthening the left leg, straightening it as you allow the right leg to fold up with one foot planted on the mat and the right knee pointed towards the ceiling. Lengthening the left leg as you allow that leg now to float up towards the ceiling. The sole of the foot pointed towards the ceiling, wrapping the arms behind either the knee or thigh, with a slight bend in the left knee, and gently pulling the left leg towards your chest. Settling into this stretch now, feeling it maybe at the back of the thigh and the hamstring. Perhaps there's sensations in the lower back. And just breathing here for a moment. Now, if you would like to add to this stretch, feel free to roll your head up gently towards your left knee, bringing the forehead towards the left knee, and deepening the stretch just for a breath or two. Now on the next out breath, letting go of the left leg and letting it float back down towards the mat, taking your time and feeling the after effects of that stretch as you come into the resting pose once again, with both legs stretched out flat against the mat, the arms by the sides of the body, the palms facing upwards, and deepening the breath and seeing what's here now in the body after that series of postures. Sensing which parts of the body may feel rested or even released. Bringing awareness to this moment with gentle curiosity and simply sensing what's here now. Now shifting by rolling onto the left hip and being aware of the intention to change position as your muscles shift you onto your left side. You can place your left hand behind your head to offer it some support as you bring the right hand in front of you to offer you some balance and stability as you stack the right leg on top of your left leg now. And on the next in-breath, allowing the right leg to float up at whatever angle or height feels right to you today. And noticing the muscles that are working to hold up the right leg at whatever angle or height it's at. Maybe it's a foot, or maybe it's only a few inches. But taking a moment to see which muscles are holding up the right leg. Is it the thigh, the hamstring, or perhaps the hips? Taking a moment now and breathing into these muscles. On the next out breath, allowing the right leg to float back down so it's stacked on top of the left leg. And gently rolling over now onto the other side, onto your right side, as the left leg stacks on top of the right one, and your right hand can rest behind your head or neck to offer it some support, and the left hand is placed gently in front of you on the mat. Now allowing the left leg to gently float up at whatever angle or height feels right to you today, and exploring what this movement feels like. Breathing into this posture. Holding the left leg up, being aware of what muscles are working. And on the next out breath, allowing the left leg to gently float back towards the right again, and experiencing the sensations of letting go, and seeing what sensations are perceptible in the left leg after that posture. Now shifting over onto the belly, being aware of the movement as you gently roll over and bring your arms by your sides with the fingers laying against the mat and the palms facing upward, legs straight, and resting the head on one cheek, perhaps the right or the left. And now, if that feels comfortable to you, you can place your chin on the mat. If that brings any sense of discomfort or pain to the neck, you can bring your hands up and experiment with placing them on the mat and resting your forehead on your hands. As you gently raise the right leg up into the air, as you root your hips into the ground and that right leg floats up, maybe it's a few inches, maybe it's more, and simply being aware of that movement. On the next out breath, allowing the right leg to float back down to the mat. And now returning your arms to your sides and allowing your head to rest on the opposite cheek. Breathing into this posture for a moment. Now, returning the chin to the mat or resting your forehead on your hands, allowing the left leg to gently float up. Breathing into this posture for a moment or two as the hips are rooted into the mat. Bringing awareness to all the muscles that are working to hold up the left leg. On the next out breath, allowing the left leg to gently float back towards the mat, allowing the arms to return to the side, and bringing awareness to what it feels like to let go. Letting go of the tension. Now, bringing awareness to the intention of moving, you can slowly turn over and come back into the resting pose with your legs straight and feet falling away from each other, with the arms resting by your sides, with the palms facing upwards. And taking in the breath now, deeply and with intention, sensing the support from the floor or mat underneath you, almost as if you're being held. And as you inhale and exhale, letting go of any tension that may still remain in the body, as you gently scan the body from the head all the way down to the tips of the toes. Softening into this resting pose as the breath moves freely and experiencing the release of this tension as you rest in awareness for the next few moments. Coming back now to awareness of the body as you take a breath with intention, inviting movement to the fingers and toes, allowing the eyes to open or the gaze to widen. As you slowly come back into the room and taking a moment to congratulate yourself for taking the time to care for your body and mind in this way. Bringing moment-to-moment awareness of the body and knowing that this awareness is available to you at any time during the day by simply returning to the breath. Returning to a sense of wakefulness, rest, and vitality.